up, you guys? Welcome to the March 1st edition of NBA 3-Ball, presented by Establish the Run. I'm your host, Mike Gallagher. Getting ready for 10 minutes of NBA news, some NBA Sunday action, we'll talk some fantasy ads. We're not going to talk crypto kitties, though. Shout out to anyone who had a crypto kitty back in January. Like, that's super dope. You get a cat, cool cat, into the Top Shot streets. But yeah, let's get to the NBA news. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe, please, starting with the 76ers. And we got some questionable tags with Tobias Harris. Missed the last game, banged his knee. Joel Embiid also questionable with an ankle tweak. Looks pretty minor, but the Sixers injury report's really tough to read. They've had so many probables missed. But this is against the Pacers, so you would think if one or both wouldn't go, they'd have to go bigger. So you'd think Tony Bradley would probably start. We know Doc likes Dwight Howard off the bench. Mike Scott would probably start at the 4 to also help out work on Korkmaz. And all those guys, we saw Korkmaz start the last game without Tobias, and then Mike Scott started the second half. So Korkmaz is on really thin ice. They're giving him so many chances to thrive. And obviously, if Embiid doesn't play, it's just boosts everywhere because he's such a useless monster. The Spurs close to getting guys back with Keldon Johnson listed as questionable, but still no Devin Vassell, still no Derek White, no Rudy Gay. So they'll be a little bit short-handed. They certainly have enough bodies, but they won't need to play your Keita Bates-Jobs and those dudes if Keldon comes back, even if he doesn't come back. But yeah, we got some trade rumors with them. So yeah, that'd be nice to see Keldon Johnson get a little bit more leash here with the Spurs being a little bit short-handed. So we'll have to keep an eye on that today. Quick hit on the Pacers. Malcolm Brogdon missed the last game. Was a back-to-back. Think he's okay. Didn't hear much about it from Nate Bjorkgren in the post-game. Didn't also really talk about Jeremy Lamb. Certainly something to keep an eye on there. He talked about Edmund Sumner a little bit after the game. Said he went with him a little bit more because he liked his defense, so he would probably be in the rotation here. Obviously, if Brogdon's missing again, which I think Brogdon will play, but we saw T.J. McConnell play minutes in the 40s and just was the easiest DFS play ever, and he would not be sneaky. He was pretty lightly owned, as a side note for me on Saturday. But yeah, he won't be lightly owned if Brogdon's out this time. Let's get to the basketball for the matinee game. Really exciting game with the Bucks getting the win against the Clippers. Clippers went small late, kind of as expected, even with all that size. Bucks countered with some small lineups as well. But yeah, nothing really to take away. It's pretty standard. Terrence Mann has kind of locked himself into the rotation. That's probably the only real rotation takeaway. And I mentioned that small ball lineup with Marcus Morris, Tyler looking to trust a little bit more. Paul George got hot early and kind of finished cold as the Clippers offense just disappeared late. Certainly nothing to worry about, obviously. Bucks get the win. Starting to look like the Bucks again. Giannis is just on another level right now. Shooting the ball confidently. He's just trying to take over games. No one can stop him right now. Hasn't had too many tough matchups, even here against the Clippers, which should have been a tough matchup, but he just dominated. Other than that, Pat Connaughton was the guy that kind of got late minutes here as they went with that lineup. Dante DiVincenzo still played pretty well, despite Jrue Holiday returning. Had COVID symptoms. Did confirm he had it. 18 minutes. He'll certainly be scaled up a little bit, but certainly expect him to be limited until the All-Star break. But so pretty much you're going to play him in your season-long leagues, but you can't really play Holiday in your DFS lineups. No Jaylen Brown, no problem. Thanks to Mr. Jason Tatum, game winner, 31 points, looked awesome. Tough shot maker, man. I say this all the time. He takes some of the toughest shots in the league. Other than that, we saw Javonte Green get the start. Nothing real. He's just pretty bad per minute. He's just out there for defense against the Beal Westbrook backcourt. Robert Williams' minutes took a little bit of a hit. We saw him really come on here, as Brad Stevens said he's going to kind of play him later in the season. Until they get away from this Daniel Tice, Tristan Thompson. But it was a pretty good Tice day after it looked like he was kind of left for dead. So maybe we'll see if he could kind of get it going. Certainly Jaylen Brown not playing may have pushed that a little bit more along to go that route. Kemba's playing pretty well too. 46 from Bradley Beal as the Wizards just can't win games when Beal goes off. Good little St. Louis matchup with Beal and Tatum. Shout out to Evan Silva, big St. Louis guy. And yeah, Westbrook, stats are there. What else is new? Bertans returned from his knee injury. Certainly hot from three. That aberration start is behind him. And the center rotation is just such a total mess as it's so matchup dependent. And Brooks just goes with the hot hand. And also, Denny Avdia lost minutes to Isaac Bonga, which was kind of surprising. But nothing really to read into. Obvious kind of off the radar. How about the fourth place New York Knickerbockers? Big win against the Pistons. Easy win, I should say. As Nerlens Noel hits the 40-minute mark, back-to-back. 40 minutes again. Derrick Rose, 38 minutes on Saturday, 32 on Sunday. Tibbs, man, truly wild. He does not play around. Besides that, Quickly's minutes got cut because Rose played so much. Not surprised. He was pretty much just a backup. Alec Burks continues to play really well off the bench, cutting into uh, Reggie Bullock, pretty much running a 9-man rotation right now. As Julius Randle, there were some pretty funny takes on Twitter that were pretty outlandish, but that's what Twitter is, I guess, apparently. But yeah, the headline here is, man, Tibbs is truly on a one of a kind. To the Pistons, as Dennis Smith Jr.'s played pretty well as the starter. Saban Lee lost a little bit of his luster. Looks like Smith Jr. has the inside track for the lion's share, but should be high 20s, low 20s kind of a split. Lee does have a better permanent role because he's playing with some of the second unit guys. And also starting lineup change with Svi Mikhailuk in the first unit. Didn't do anything with that playing time. It's Josh Jackson just going to eat into whoever is starting unless he starts, but they like him off the bench, obviously. Nothing really else to say. Sadiq Bey had a rough shooting game. It's okay. The heat is on. Miami gets another win, and they really take care of business against the Hawks. Without Jimmy Butler, no less. I mean, this team just misses bodies all the time, but Tyler Hero did return, played pretty well overall. Shot the ball confidently, was taking a lot of contested shots like Tyler Hero only does. Kendrick Nunn, man, continues to play great. We'll see if this lineup sticks. We know they like Dragic kind of off the bench, and they may limit him, so we'll see if Dragic's minutes come down. They've kind of been using him more when they needed him to. We saw those guys when they were really hit with injuries and COVID, but certainly expect, I mean, Nunn's not going to be this hot, but would expect his minutes to kind of get cut down a little bit as Hero ramps up, Jimmy Butler returns, and all that stuff. Real rough game for Trae Young. Really kind of fell apart late. Said, quote, in the final 4 minutes, I've got to do a better job of making shots and helping lead our team a little better down the stretch. And he said he'll do better, of course. Kevin Huerter handled the ball quite a bit as a lot of defensive attention was on Trae. Huerter's been pretty good, obviously, without Cam Reddish, with that Achilles thing. And really, since DeAndre Hunter went down, we know Lloyd Pierce don't play. He will play Kevin Huerter a lot. So, yeah, he's been just playing a ton, and it's helped up his value tremendously. John Collins was rolling early. Looked like he was going to have a monster head, I believe 19 points in the third quarter, and then kind of got quiet to finish this game. Houston, we have a patent. No, Houston just got smacked. The Grizzlies bench outscored their entire roster, 85-84. It's ugly out here. John Wall had some pretty interesting quotes. He said that this S word is ass, and yeah, it's been pretty bad. And we saw Justin Patton start against Valanciunas. He actually was okay, and that may continue just because I don't know, something has to change. They're on a back-to-back, so John Wall's probably going to sit. Oladipo sat out today, and then also Eric Gordon dinged up his knee a little bit, so keep an eye out on him on the injury report. And then also news today, Victor Oladipo had an ability to sign a 2-year contract extension and waived it, so we will certainly be seeing his name pop up in trade rumors. Obviously, Kevin Porter Jr. has been balling in the G League, been playing point guard. That'll be something to watch. We know Wall could be a shutdown candidate. That's not official. That's just kind of guessing off them being bad and Wall's history. So, yeah, it's looking real rough out here. Jay Sean Tate moving to the bench. It's not the worst news because he's going to play a little bit. But not the greatest news because it does cap his minutes upside a little bit. Grizzlies just smacked them. Nothing really to say as D'Anthony Melton got back in the rotation without Grayson Allen in there. We know he was kind of the odd man out. Jenkins likes to run that 10-man rotation. Justice Winslow, clearly his best game. I'm not totally buying. If you want to pick him up, sure. But I wouldn't drop anybody great because Desmond Bane's pretty good. I had a huge game today. I like Bane. I like Bane is what I should have said. But yeah, I wouldn't just... We got to see this kind of to play out, but it's kind of messy. Warriors got smacked by the Lakers. Really no takeaways, but Draymond Green did roll his ankle, did not return. Keep an eye on that. Wouldn't think it's crazy to sit him out till the All-Star break. And we also saw Big Jim, James Weissman, get out there and play more, start of the second half because it was kind of a blowout. So might as well give him some opportunity for some growth. Wolves are hanging tough, but too much Devin Booker in the third to put this game away. DeAndre Ayton's playing pretty well right now. And yeah, Jay Crowder, it's kind of a mess with him and Kaminsky. They certainly like Kaminsky in the first unit. Chris Paul is just an assist machine. To the Wolves, this game got out of hand as Jake Layman was the number 2 power forward, and McDaniels barely got in there. He was the 3rd power forward, saw garbage time, late garbage time. And Jared Culver got quick hooked twice. I mean, he just looks horrible. Can't count on him for minutes anymore. And Anthony Edwards is chucking. Cat didn't shoot the ball enough in the first half. Still finished with a good line. Certainly looks like Jared Vanderbilt's the guy right now, but they were playing from behind, so his minutes got cut too. Going to save the Hornets King games for the solo pod. Holy PJ Washington. And let's talk ads from Sunday's game. I'm going to be talking stashes on the solo pod, so definitely check back for that. Adding Dennis Smith Jr., yeah, I think he's probably the guy here today. Certainly looks like he's got the upper hand for upper 20s minutes. Killian Hayes could be closer. He's going to be a guy I'm going to talk about tomorrow. But for now, Smith looks like he's the guy. Doing more than just scoring, too. Malik Monk, man, getting late minutes. He's playing great. Didn't even really hit his jumper today. Really more aggressive. Good to see. Desmond Bane would probably be the guy I want if I wanted to pursue a Memphis wing. Necessarily don't have to do that. Justin Patton, I think they're going to give him a shot. They kind of have to. The small ball thing's not working, and Silas has said as much. Eric Pascal would probably be the guy I'd grab from the Draymond news. Juan Toscano Anderson after that. And, I guess Jake Layman. If they're going to play Layman when they're trailing, they're bad. They're probably one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NBA. So they're going to play from behind. I wouldn't be running to add him. But yeah, you could drop McDaniels for really anybody. Catch you tomorrow.